It was a crisp autumn evening when it all came crashing down, the kind of evening where the leaves swirl in the wind, dancing like the memories that seemed to haunt every corner of my life. I sat in my car, staring at the dim lights from the street lamps, trying to calm the storm inside my chest. My hands gripped the steering wheel so tightly I thought my knuckles might burst through the skin. I couldn't believe it. We had been through so much together, the laughter, the tears, the arguments that would last hours, only to be followed by apologies and love. But now, it was over. Just like that. I thought I'd be the one to say the words, to finally walk away from the relationship that had turned toxic, but instead, it was him, my ex, Adam. The man I had once imagined growing old with. The man who had stood by me through every twist and turn of life. He was the one who spoke the final blow. "You'll never find someone like me again," he said with a coldness in his voice that still sends shivers down my spine. I remember how his words echoed in my mind, bouncing around like a cruel taunt. "You're making a mistake," he added, his eyes filled with a mixture of anger and something else, something darker. It was almost like he was daring me to prove him wrong, but in that moment all I could feel was emptiness. I wanted to scream, to tell him everything I had kept hidden, the secrets, the lies, the betrayals. But instead, I just nodded, forced a smile, and walked away. I didn't realize it then, but that would be the last time I ever saw him in person. As I drove away, my heart pounded, and I tried to make sense of what had just happened. How had we come to this? Wasn't he the one who promised me forever? The thought of never hearing his voice again sent a cold shiver down my spine. I tried to push the thought away, but it clung to me like a shadow. Days turned into weeks, but it felt like my heart had been shattered into a million pieces, each one more painful than the last. I tried to keep myself busy, throwing myself into work, hanging out with friends, distracting myself from the constant ache inside me. But it never worked. His words haunted me every night, every moment of quiet. "You'll never find someone like me again." Those words weren't just cruel, they felt like a challenge, like he was daring me to prove him wrong. But how could I? How could I ever forget everything we had? The late-night conversations, the shared dreams, the secret places we'd visited, they were all just memories now. One evening, after another lonely day, I received a message from him. The familiar name flashed on my screen, and for a moment I froze. My heart raced. I hadn't heard from him since that night, the night he'd told me I'd never find someone like him. But this message was different. "Meet me at the park," it read. "We need to talk." I wasn't sure why I even considered it. My mind screamed at me to leave things as they were, to not go back to the man who had broken my heart, but my feet moved on their own. I had to know. I had to understand why everything had unraveled. The park was quiet that evening. The trees, bare from the changing season, cast long, skeletal shadows on the ground. The sound of the wind rustling through the branches was the only thing that broke the silence. I walked slowly toward the bench where we had shared our first kiss. The memory of that moment rushed back, the warmth of his lips, the feeling that we could conquer anything together. But when I saw him, sitting on that same bench, a chill ran down my spine. Adam looked different. His eyes were darker, colder than I remembered. He hadn't shaved in days, and the familiar sparkle that had once been in his gaze was now replaced by something unsettling. "Hey," I said softly, trying to steady my breath. He looked up at me, his expression unreadable. "You came." I nodded, unsure of what else to say. The tension between us was thick, like a cloud that refused to dissipate. "You wanted to talk?" I asked, trying to sound calm, but my voice betrayed me. He didn't answer right away. Instead, he stood up and began pacing, his hands running through his disheveled hair. "I was wrong, okay? I shouldn't have said that to you. But you have to understand, There's something I haven't told you. Something you need to know." My heart raced. What was he talking about? What could possibly be so important after everything we had already been through? "You're scaring me," I whispered, the words barely escaping my lips. Adam stopped pacing and turned to face me. His eyes locked onto mine, and for the first time in weeks I saw something in them I didn't recognize. Fear? Regret? "I don't know how to tell you this," he muttered, "but it's bigger than both of us. And it has to do with what I said about you never finding someone like me." He swallowed hard, his voice shaking. "I wasn't just talking about myself. I was talking about something else." I felt my stomach drop. My mind was racing, trying to make sense of his words. Something else? What could be more important than the man I had once loved telling me that I would never find someone like him again? He took a deep breath and said the words I wasn't prepared to hear. "I've been hiding something from you. Something huge. Something that changes everything." The air between us thickened. The silence seemed to stretch on forever, and I could feel the weight of his revelation hanging in the air like a heavy curtain. "What do you mean?" I asked, my voice trembling. Adam's eyes dropped to the ground, his face filled with guilt. He opened his mouth to speak, but then hesitated. I didn't want to hurt you, but I couldn't keep living the lie anymore." I stood frozen, my heart pounding in my chest. The suspense was unbearable. What could he possibly have been hiding from me? What was it that could change everything between us? I'm involved with someone else," he whispered. "Someone I shouldn't be. And it's been going on for a lot longer than you think." The words hit me like a slap across the face. I staggered backward, my breath catching in my throat. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. You're with someone else?" I repeated, the disbelief in my voice cutting through the night air. "How could you? After everything we shared? After everything we went through together?" Adam closed his eyes and exhaled, his expression tortured. "I didn't want it to happen, but it did. And I'm so sorry." Tears welled up in my eyes, and I tried to blink them away, but they came anyway, falling freely down my cheeks. I wanted to scream, to shout at him for betraying me in the worst possible way, but all I could do was stand there, in shock. You told me that you loved me. You told me I was the one. How could you do this to me?" "I never wanted to hurt you," Adam said, his voice breaking. "But I got lost. I thought I could handle it, but I couldn't. I've been seeing someone else for months, and I couldn't even tell you because I knew it would tear you apart." My world came crashing down in that moment. The man I had trusted, the man I had given everything to, had been living a lie. He wasn't the person I thought he was, and all the promises, all the sweet words, had meant nothing. "I should have told you sooner," he continued, stepping closer, his voice full of regret. "But I couldn't. I was too afraid to lose you. And now I have." I looked away, my heart aching in my chest. The pain was so deep, it felt like I had been hollowed out from the inside. I had always believed in love, in the idea that two people could make it through anything, but now that belief was shattered. "You'll never find someone like me," Adam repeated, his voice low. I turned to face him, my gaze hardening. "I don't need to find someone like you. I need to find someone who isn't hiding secrets and lying to me." The wind picked up as we stood there in the park, the trees rustling above us like whispers of long-forgotten secrets. The air felt heavier now, thick with all the words that had been left unsaid. The silence between Adam and me grew unbearable, like an unspoken truth that neither of us could ignore any longer. I wiped the last of my tears away, my face flushed from the mixture of anger and disbelief. I couldn't look at him anymore. I couldn't stand to see the man I had once loved, the man who had promised me forever, reduced to this pathetic shadow of what he had been. "You really think I'll just forgive you, don't you?" I asked, my voice sharp, cold. Adam took a step back as though my words had stung more than he had expected. No, that's not it at all. I know I've messed up, and I don't expect forgiveness. But I need you to understand something. I met his eyes, my chest tightening with each passing second. What could possibly make any of this understandable, Adam? He took a deep breath, then seemed to hesitate before speaking. The person I've been seeing, she's not just anyone. She's someone I've known for a long time. Someone who— He stopped abruptly, his voice faltering. I crossed my arms over my chest. Who is she? I demanded, my heart pounding. Who's the other woman, Adam? Adam looked down at the ground, unable to meet my eyes. His silence was all I needed to know. My mind raced as I tried to piece together the fragments of our relationship, the lies, the moments where I had sensed something was off, but had dismissed them. She's someone I've known for years, Adam said finally, his voice barely a whisper. But it's not what you think. It's not just about her. It's about me. I've been hiding something much bigger, a sick feeling twisted in my stomach. What could be bigger than the fact that he was seeing someone else? I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. What are you talking about? Adam's voice dropped to a near whisper, and for the first time since I had seen him, there was a flicker of fear in his eyes. I never told you the truth about my family, about what's been going on with me. The reason I pushed you away, the reason I became distant, my pulse quickened. What could he possibly mean? I had known about his family issues, about his strained relationship with his father, but we'd always worked through it. I thought we had. Adam, you're not making any sense, I said, my frustration rising. What does this have to do with us? Adam swallowed hard, taking a shaky step closer to me. It has everything to do with us, actually. You see, the woman I've been seeing, she's my cousin. My entire body froze at his words. The shock of it hit me so hard I felt as though I couldn't breathe. What? I gasped, my voice rising in disbelief. Your cousin? Are you serious? Is this some sick joke, Adam? He shook his head, his face pained. I never wanted you to find out this way. But it's been going on for months, and I've been hiding it from everyone, especially you. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My mind reeled as I tried to comprehend his words. A part of me wanted to laugh, thinking it was some sick joke, but the look on his face told me this was no joke. I don't even know who you are anymore, I said, my voice trembling with both fury and confusion. How long has this been going on? Why didn't you tell me? Why would you do this to me? Adam closed his eyes for a moment, as though struggling with the weight of his own words. I was ashamed, okay? I never wanted you to find out about her. I kept telling myself I'd stop. But I couldn't. I stepped back, my heart racing. And you thought I wouldn't find out? You thought you could just keep this hidden forever? I never meant for it to get this far, Adam said, his voice cracking. But it did. And now I'm paying the price for it. I was speechless. The man I had loved, the man I had trusted with my heart, had betrayed me in the worst possible way. Not only had he been seeing someone else, but it was his cousin? The very idea felt so wrong, I could barely wrap my mind around it. How could you? I whispered, my voice breaking. How could you betray me like this? After everything? Adam looked as though he wanted to say more, but the words caught in his throat. His face was etched with guilt, but that was little comfort to me. You've hurt me more than you'll ever understand, I said, my voice cold and distant. I don't know who you are anymore, Adam. I turned away, unable to stand there any longer. The betrayal, the lies, everything that had once been so real between us, it had all crumbled in an instant. Please, Adam called after me, his voice desperate. Don't leave like this. I never wanted to hurt you. I paused, but didn't turn around. You already have, I said, my voice filled with finality. Goodbye, Adam. I walked away without looking back. My mind was spinning, my heart shattered, but deep down I knew it was over. There was no coming back from this. As I left the park behind me, I couldn't help but wonder if I'd ever truly known him. The man I had loved so completely, who had promised me the world, was nothing more than a stranger now. I didn't look back. The weeks following that evening in the park felt like a blur. Time seemed to pass both too quickly and too slowly. Each day was a struggle to put one foot in front of the other, to convince myself that I could move on from the chaos Adam had left behind. But the truth was, I didn't know how to let go. The betrayal wasn't just about the affair, or the fact that it was with his cousin. It was everything. The lies, the secrecy, the love I had believed in, now shattered beyond repair. I tried to go back to my normal life, but nothing felt the same. My friends rallied around me, offering comfort and advice, but no words could undo the damage Adam had caused. I found myself waking up in the middle of the night, my mind racing with thoughts of him, the life we had shared, the future we had dreamed of. It all felt so far away, like a dream that I had woken up from too soon. I spent most of my days at work, burying myself in my tasks to avoid thinking about Adam. But no matter how much I tried to push him out of my mind, his presence lingered. It was in the empty spaces of my apartment, in the songs we used to listen to, in the places we used to visit. Every corner seemed to hold a memory of him, a memory I wasn't sure I wanted to forget, but knew I had to. One night, as I sat on the couch, scrolling aimlessly through my phone, a message popped up from an unknown number. I hesitated, unsure of whether to open it, but something inside me urged me to. It was a text from Adam's sister, Claire. "I know this is the last thing you probably want to hear, but I need to tell you something. Please call me." I stared at the message for a long time, my heart pounding. What could she possibly want? After everything, after Adam had lied to me and betrayed me, why would she reach out? Part of me wanted to ignore it, to block her and never look back. But another part of me, the part that still needed answers, couldn't resist. I dialed her number, my hands shaking as I held the phone to my ear. "Hello?" Her voice was soft, almost hesitant. "Claire," I said, my voice tight. "What's going on? Why are you contacting me?" There was a long pause on the other end of the line. Then she sighed deeply. "I don't know how to say this, but you need to know what's really been going on with Adam. There's something you don't know. Something he's never told you." My stomach dropped. "What are you talking about?" "I can't explain it all over the phone," Claire said, her voice breaking. "But you need to come over. Please, just come to my place, and I'll tell you everything." I hesitated for a moment, uncertainty gnawing at me, but something in her voice made me believe she wasn't just trying to drag me back into Adam's world. There was fear in her tone. Fear that something far worse was at play. "Okay," I said finally. "I'll be there in an hour." When I arrived at Claire's apartment, the air felt different. It was as though the walls were closing in on me, filled with secrets and things left unsaid. Claire greeted me at the door, her face pale and drawn, as if she hadn't slept in days. "I'm glad you came," she said softly, stepping aside to let me in. I followed her into the living room, where she motioned for me to sit down. The room was dimly lit, the only source of light coming from a lamp in the corner. Claire sat across from me, her hands wringing in her lap, as though she were preparing herself for something difficult. "I don't even know where to begin," she said, her voice trembling. "But you need to understand something. Adam didn't just mess up with you. There's so much more to this, things he never told you." I nodded, my stomach twisting in knots. "Tell me, Claire. I need to know." She took a deep breath before speaking again. "You remember how Adam always talked about his family, right? How his relationship with his dad was always rocky?" I nodded. Adam's father had been a distant, cold man. It was something Adam had always confided in me, how his father's harsh expectations had shaped him into the person he was. I knew about the years of tension, the strained interactions, the hurt. What if I told you that his father wasn't just hard on him because of his career choices? Claire's voice was almost a whisper now. What if I told you there's something even darker in their past? I stared at her, not understanding. What do you mean? What's darker than that? Claire looked down, clearly struggling with the weight of the words she was about to say. There's a secret in our family. A secret that Adam's father has kept buried for years. The reason Adam's been so messed up, the reason he's been hiding things, it all goes back to their history. Back to things Adam has never been able to face. I leaned forward, my heart racing. What is it, Claire? What's the secret? Claire swallowed hard. It's about his mother. I froze. His mother? I repeated, my mind struggling to make sense of what she was saying. Yes, she said, her voice barely audible. When Adam was a child, his mother was involved in something criminal, something so bad that it tore the family apart. Adam's father covered it up, tried to make it disappear, but it's haunted Adam his entire life. It's the reason he's always been so distant, so secretive, and it's why he couldn't ever be fully honest with you. The room felt like it was spinning. This was the truth Adam had never shared with me, the dark, twisted secret that had shaped everything about him. It was no wonder he had pushed me away, no wonder he had kept his distance. He had been running from something far bigger than me. I'm sorry, Claire whispered, her eyes brimming with tears. I should have told you sooner, but I was trying to protect him. I never thought it would come to this. I sat there in stunned silence, the weight of her words sinking in. Adam had been carrying a burden so heavy, so full of secrets, that it had consumed him. And now it had destroyed everything. The silence between Claire and me hung heavy in the air, and I felt as though I were suffocating under the weight of the truth. Adam's mother, his family's dark secret, it was all too much to comprehend. I had loved him, trusted him with everything I had, and now it felt like I had been living in a lie. I sat there, numb, my mind whirling with thoughts and emotions I couldn't fully process. Adam had been hiding this burden, this pain, for years, and now it made sense why he'd been so distant, why he'd pushed me away. He had been running from something much bigger than us, and all I could do was watch as it tore him apart. I glanced at Claire, who was still sitting across from me, her eyes full of regret and sorrow. Why didn't he tell me? Why? Didn't he trust me with this? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Claire shook her head. He was afraid. Afraid of losing you, afraid of what this would mean for your relationship. He thought if you knew, you'd leave him. And honestly, after everything, maybe he was right. I didn't know how to respond to that. Could I have stayed with him, knowing the truth? Could I have understood the weight of his past and forgiven him? Is he a bad person? I asked, my voice trembling as I searched for some sort of answer that would help me make sense of the mess I was in. Claire looked at me with sorrowful eyes. No, he's not a bad person. But he's been carrying around guilt, shame, and confusion for so long. He never knew how to handle it, and when he met you, it was like a breath of fresh air. He thought maybe, just maybe, you could help him forget about all of it. But the truth is, he's never been able to escape his past. And in the end, it destroyed everything. I sat back in my chair, my heart aching. I had always believed in Adam. I had believed in the love we shared, in the future we were supposed to have. But now, I didn't know who he was anymore. Could I still love him, knowing all that he had hidden from me? Could I forgive him for the lies, for the betrayal? I don't know if I can do this, I whispered, the words coming out in a breathless rush. I don't know if I can forgive him. I don't know if I can go back. Claire reached out, placing a hand on mine. I understand, but you deserve to know the truth. You deserve to make the decision for yourself, not based on what Adam wants, but on what you need. I looked at her, torn. There was a part of me that wanted to run, to leave everything behind and never look back. The pain of betrayal, the lies, it was too much to bear. But there was also a part of me that still cared for him, that still wanted to believe in the man I had once loved. "Do you think he can change?" I asked quietly. "Can he ever really be the person I thought he was?" Claire paused, as if carefully considering her words. "I don't know. But he's going to need help. He's going to need to face his past, face the things he's been hiding for so long. But that's not something you can fix for him. He has to want to change. And if you want to be there for him, you have to decide if it's worth the risk." The weight of her words pressed down on me. Could I risk opening my heart to him again, knowing that the man I had loved might never fully be the person I had imagined? Could I accept him with all his flaws, all his baggage? I stood up, pacing back and forth in Claire's small living room, my thoughts spinning. I had spent so many years with Adam, so many moments that I would never forget. But now, everything felt tainted. His betrayal, his lies, the secrets he had kept from me, it was too much to ignore. And yet, deep down, I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't ready to let go completely. "Do you think he's truly sorry?" I asked, stopping in my tracks to look at Claire. She met my gaze, her eyes filled with empathy. "I think he is. But I also think he's scared. He doesn't know how to face his demons, and he doesn't know how to face you after everything he's done." I felt a pang in my chest, the familiar ache of longing, of wishing things had been different. But the reality was, things were different now. The man I had once loved, the man I had believed in, had betrayed me in the most painful way possible. "I don't know if I can do this anymore, Claire," I said softly, the tears I had been holding back threatening to fall. "I don't know if I can forgive him." Claire nodded in understanding, her eyes full of sympathy. "It's okay. You don't have to decide right now. You need time to heal, to figure out what you want. But you deserve to have that choice. You deserve to decide if you can forgive him and move forward." I wiped my eyes, trying to push back the tears. "I need some time. I need to figure out what's best for me." Claire reached for my hand, squeezing it gently. "Take all the time you need. I'll be here for you, no matter what you decide." As I left Claire's apartment that night, I felt both lighter and heavier. Lighter because I now knew the truth, but heavier because the truth had complicated everything. Adam's past, his family's secrets, they had all come to the surface, and now I had to decide what to do with it all. Could I ever truly forgive him? Could I ever truly trust him again? I didn't know the answer. But I knew one thing for sure. I couldn't keep living in the shadow of his lies. I had to find my own way forward, whether that meant walking away or giving him a chance to make things right. The days after my conversation with Claire blurred together. I kept replaying every moment, every word. In my mind, the confession, the revelation about Adam's mother, the shattered trust. I tried to focus on work, on spending time with friends, on anything that would keep me distracted from the pain that seemed to gnaw at me from the inside. But no matter how hard I tried, Adam's face kept appearing in my thoughts, like a ghost I couldn't escape. His eyes, his smile, the way he used to hold me when things felt uncertain. I missed him. I missed the way he had made me feel safe, the way he had once promised me the world. But I also couldn't ignore the fact that he had betrayed me in a way that I could never truly forget. One evening, as I sat on the balcony of my apartment, staring out at the city lights below, I realized something. I couldn't keep living in the past. I couldn't keep holding on to the person Adam had once been, the person I had hoped he still was. The truth was, I didn't know who he was anymore. And I didn't know if I could ever trust him again. But more than that, I realized I didn't know who I was without him. Our relationship had been my world for so long that I had lost myself in it. I had given him all my love, all my trust, and now I had nothing left. The only thing left for me to hold on to was myself. It was time to make a choice. the hardest choice I had ever had to make. The next day, I found myself standing outside Adam's apartment building. The weight of what I was about to do felt like 1,000 pounds pressing down on my chest. I didn't know what to expect, but I knew that this was the moment. This was the moment where I would either let go completely or give him a chance to make things right. I rang the doorbell, my heart pounding in my chest. Moments later, the door opened, and there he stood, Adam. His eyes were tired, his face worn, but there was a softness in his expression that told me he had been waiting for this moment, waiting for me to make the choice he knew was coming. "Hey," he said softly, his voice raw, as though he hadn't spoken in days. "I've been waiting for you." I nodded, unsure of what to say. "Can we talk?" Adam stepped aside, letting me into the apartment. It was eerily quiet inside, the kind of quiet that comes after a storm has passed, the kind of silence that speaks volumes. We sat down on the couch, the space between us feeling like an ocean. Neither of us spoke at first, the weight of everything hanging in the air. "I'm sorry," Adam said finally, his voice thick with emotion. "I know I've hurt you in ways I can't even begin to explain. But please know, I never wanted to destroy us. I never wanted to lose you." I felt a lump form in my throat. It was hard to hear him speak like this, so broken, so regretful. Part of me wanted to reach out, to take his hand and tell him that I still loved him, that we could work through it. But another part of me knew that I couldn't keep living in the shadows of his lies. "You hurt me, Adam," I said, my voice steady but filled with pain. "You broke my trust in ways that go beyond just the affair. It's the lies, the secrets, the things you kept from me. I gave you everything. And in return, you betrayed me." Adam's eyes filled with tears, his voice shaking. "I know. I can't change what I did. I can't take it back. But I'm asking you, please, give me a chance to make it right. I want to be better. I want to be the man you thought I was. I'll do whatever it takes." I looked at him, really looked at him. I could see the sincerity in his eyes, the pain that mirrored my own. But the truth was, I couldn't keep living in the past. I couldn't keep waiting for him to change, to become someone he wasn't ready to be. And deep down, I knew that even if he did change, I would always carry the scar of what had happened between us. "I don't know if I can do this anymore, Adam," I whispered, the words tasting bitter on my tongue. "I don't know if I can keep waiting for you to be the person I need you to be. I don't know if I can trust you again." He closed his eyes, as though the weight of my words had hit him like a physical blow. "I understand," he said quietly, "but I'll never stop loving you." I swallowed hard, tears threatening to fall again. But I didn't let them. I had cried enough. "I know," I said softly, "but sometimes love isn't enough. Sometimes we have to let go, for our own sake." There was a long silence between us. Adam didn't speak, and neither did I. I could feel the finality in the air, the sense that everything had come to an end. It wasn't just the end of our relationship, it was the end of everything I had believed about love, about trust, about what it meant to be truly seen by another person. "I think this is goodbye, Adam," I said, my voice breaking as I stood up from the couch. "I wish you well. I really do. But I have to move on. I have to find my own way forward." Adam didn't try to stop me. He just nodded, his face a mixture of regret and resignation. I could see the pain in his eyes, but I also knew that he understood. This was the only way forward for both of us. As I left his apartment, I felt the weight of the past lift from my shoulders, but I also felt a deep sadness. It wasn't the happy ending I had hoped for, but it was the one I needed. I had learned that sometimes letting go is the bravest thing you can do. I didn't know what the future held, but for the first time in a long time, I felt like I had a chance to find out. And that was